everybody, and welcome back to the Michael and Trevor Show. I'm, of course, Trevor.
And I'm Michael.
And make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube. We do have a Spotify as well. And we also do have social media on Instagram and TikTok at the Michael and Trevor Show. So make sure you guys give us a follow and see what we have coming down for you in movie reviews.
Yeah, we have about one we're doing every week is the goal. So definitely check those out, and we will post some clips from the podcast on our TikTok and Instagram.
Absolutely.
So let's get into it. Today we have Wes Anderson's newest film, The Phoenician Scheme. I had seen it yesterday. Trevor actually just saw it today. It's a couple days after the wide release of it. But obviously, movie directed by Wes Anderson. This movie first premiered, let's see, at the 2025 Cannes Festival on May 18th, and then wide theater releases, I think, either last Thursday or Friday. So it's been out for almost a week now, so we definitely have some opening box office numbers, I believe.
Absolutely. So the Phoenician Scheme debuted at number 6 at the box office with around 6 million.
Okay.
And after the expansion in week 2, it added another 7 million, so roughly 15 million, which is pretty good for a film like this.
Yeah.
This is obviously a Wes Anderson film, so there's going to be his distinct style to it. This is definitely more towards a thriller, comedy movie.
Yeah. Definitely funny.
It's definitely a funny movie.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of things I liked about it. Just getting into the cast a little bit. Obviously, Wes Anderson, you see a lot of the same names in a lot of his movies.
Yes.
So really, there's like 3 main people in this movie, and then a ton of other people.
Yeah, the main 3 are Benicio del Toro. He plays Sasa Corda.
Yeah.
Mia Trepleton.
I think it's Threpleton.
Yeah. Which is actually Kate Winslet's daughter. Which
I didn't know that until I saw a clip, or maybe you told me. That's funny.
Liesel is her name. And then Michael Cera plays Bjorn. Very funny name. I love that name.
I'm trying to think now. Her name in it. Like, we're looking at this. I don't remember how they pronounced her name. Like, that's
Liesel. Yeah, I don't really remember.
I don't really remember, even though we just watched it. But yeah, those are the main people, and then we have a lot of other big name actors who appeared in the film. Actually, which is funny, a lot of them only appeared for a couple minutes of the film.
5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
But they consist of Willem Dafoe, F. Murray Abraham. We have Tom Hanks, Rupert Fried. Also, Bryan Cranston is in it. And Bill Murray actually plays God, which is kind of funny. Did you know that?
That is funny, yeah. And he was in Wes Anderson's first ever film?
He's been in
the second one?
He's been in a good bit.
Yeah, I think he was in...
Rushmore, he was in.
Rushmore, yeah.
I believe he was also in Fantastic Mr. Fox. And I don't know. Well,
yeah, he uses a lot of the same people.
Scarlett Johansson's in
was
that.
Obviously in Asteroid City. So big cast in this movie as expected. But let's give I'll give a little synopsis of the movie, and then we'll actually get into some things we didn't like about it, things we did like. We'll give our overall thoughts there. So synopsis, according to IMDb or DB, we got a wealthy businessman, Sasa Corda, appoints his only daughter, a nun, as sole heir to his estate. As Corda embarks on a new enterprise, they soon become the target of scheming tycoons, foreign terrorists, and determined assassins. So, Trevor, I mean, before we get into this, I am curious. I've never actually seen any Wes Anderson films, so I need to go back into this. But you mentioned that you had seen Asteroid City for the first time.
Like 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yes.
So how would you say this stacks up amongst Asteroid City?
Absolutely. So compared to Asteroid City, it's definitely a different film. Asteroid City to me is more of a alien movie, but it's also somewhat of a play. Just by the way that the movie was, the story of the movie, it follows a play.
Yeah.
This definitely does not. So it's 2 different styles of movies, in my opinion, but it's still like in that Wes Anderson universe. So it's kind of comparing apples to apples in a way, but also apples to oranges. So It is hard. I did really enjoy Asteroid City. I really, really, really like that movie. So we'll see how I like that, or if I like this Phoenician Scheme a little bit more. Who knows? We'll find out later.
Yeah, we'll find out in the podcast here, but I mean, initial thoughts coming out of the theater, and without getting into our actual ratings for the movies, I came out of the theater a little bit confused. Again, I'm brand new to Wes Anderson, so when people talk about like he has a certain style, I mean, I totally understand it
Yes.
now. Um, and I saw a little bit of Asteroid City, so I totally get the vibe he's going for there. Um, but I mean, overall, yeah, I mean, I just was a little bit confused coming out of the movie. Definitely had to watch some YouTube videos about it and kind of just take some time to debrief after watching that because there's a lot going on
Yes, there is.
in the story, the script. I mean, what did you think overall of it?
So I really, really, really always enjoy Wes Anderson's cinematography.
Yeah,
All the scenes are shot beautifully. It looks like it's a piece of artwork. It literally is a piece of artwork, in my opinion. The story feels like a Wes Anderson film.
yeah. I feel like the story was again there's like things I did like about it, like the themes around it. When you got to the end, like really the whole movie is like the Phoenician scheme is like this big infrastructure project that's supposed to bring like wealth to him and his family and all of this stuff. But basically, like the whole premise of it, it's like kind of like a road trip, them going to different people trying to get funding for this infrastructure project. They call it the gap, so they need money in order to fund this project. And then it kind of ends. I don't want to get into spoilers. Shoot,
It ends.
it. Well, I won't get into how it ends yet. Like we'll talk
Yes,
about
we'll
that
talk
more in the
about that.
spoilers, but it's really following them like visiting these different people uh, uh, to try to get funding for this infrastructure project. But one of the things I didn't like is that they don't really dive in too much about like the Phoenician scheme, or maybe I just missed it because a lot was going on. Like, did you really understand what the point of all of it was?
I have no clue what happened in the movie, but I liked it.
Yeah, no, I know
Wes,
what you mean.
he's a very ADHD sense of writing, in my
Yeah,
opinion. It's kind of all over the place, but kind of in the same line as well. I don't really understand a lot of Wes Anderson films I've seen,
yeah.
but I appreciate them.
Yeah, and the dialogue I think is one of the things. I mean, just from this movie and what I've heard, like, is that a consistent dialogue? Like, it's very like deadpan, kind of
Yes,
monotone, but it's like
it's
it almost
very
makes it
funny.
very comedic. And that's why I
Yes,
thought Michael Cera in this. Like, I actually really liked his casting. I'm surprised he hasn't found Wes Anderson yet
I agree. This is, I
until
believe,
now.
his first time
I
in a
think it
Wes
is.
Anderson film.
Yeah,
The acting was fantastic, and obviously, this is a usual thing in the Wes Anderson films. But Michael Cera really shines. This is a little bit of a spoiler, but
yeah,
he kind of plays a character living a double life, which I did not see coming at all.
yeah. Definitely didn't see coming. I saw one review that said it's like Michael Cera's like in the films where they have like the nerdy girl who's actually like really pretty and then they like she takes off the glasses. There's like a point where he kind of gets rid of his I don't even know what accent that he has in his glasses and he's kind of like um just a whole different
Yeah,
person,
that's
which I
funny.
thought was cool.
That's very funny, and that's
um
spot on.
yeah, but I thought the acting was I think the lead actor, again, it's hard for me to compare to other lead actors in Wes Anderson because I haven't watched his other films, but I thought he did a really good job. I mean, he has this character that's like his moral compass isn't very good, but then he has his daughter who's like this Catholic nun, and he's trying to kind of like rekindle that relationship a little. Which, when you get to the end, I mean, let's just go. It's okay. This can be spoilers at this point. Just go watch the film if you haven't yet. I really feel like that's the whole message behind the movie because I really feel like it wasn't that character focused on a lot. Like, there's a lot of characters, but I didn't feel a lot
Hmm.
like towards a lot of the characters. But it's really him kind of just building the bond. I feel like at the end with his daughter, it's like he built this huge he wanted to build this huge structure to have wealth for generations for his family, and then it kind of just ends with him and his daughter working at like a restaurant
Yeah,
or something.
his restaurant.
Yeah, so it's kind of showing that like you go through all this and like death and all this violence to get wealth, when in reality like your family having a good relationship with them. I feel like that's kind of the message.
Yeah,
at the end of it.
And I will say you did mention something very interesting, which is part of the plot, but it's talked about the plot, but it doesn't really have much to do
Yeah,
with it. There's the death of the wife of Saza,
yeah,
and it's kind of like a crime of like who did it, but it's kind of a secondary plot in my opinion,
yeah.
because like that's how the movie starts off. It's like, oh, who killed the wife, blah 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 blah, and then it's not really brought up.
It's
That
not
it's
brought up at all.
not really. It's like undertones, and then
Yeah,
not to the end, and you're like, okay, this kind of makes sense, and then you're like, whoa, what is going on?
yeah. And there was some foreshadowing. So
Mm-hmm.
again, like it's spoiler, but Benedict Cumberbatch's character is Newt Bar, something
Yeah.
something Newt Bar. And there's a couple like foreshadowing in the beginning. They kind of explain like she might not be his father.
Mm-hmm.
And in one of the scenes when they're on the plane, she's like, "Oh, this guy has my eyes," like, or my uncle has my eyes, or something. So did he end up being her dad or no?
I don't think that we
I don't.
found it.
I don't remember, but
I believe Benedict Cumberbatch's character was the father, but I'm not sure at the same time.
yeah, I don't.
Because there was that scene whenever he was up there with God.
Yeah,
Who knows? We'll never know. Maybe it's meant for us not to know. Or
yeah,
maybe we're just dumb and can't figure stuff out.
yeah. But I don't know. I thought overall, like the storyline just had a lot going on. I feel like there was a lot that I wish I like understood more. Like I feel like you get to know a little bit about a character and then it just moves on to the next. Like basically he's trying to get funding from like five different people, and like Scarlett Johansson's character doesn't go into that too much. I thought the scene with Bryan Cranston and was it Tom Hanks'
Tom
character where
Hanks.
they're playing basketball, like that was so random.
That was
But
a
I thought that was
standout
funny.
in my opinion.
Okay.
It was very random how they got there. He just they get there and then Tom Hanks is there with the soda and Bryan Cranston's there with the little Hershey's bar. I don't know if you realized he had a Hershey's bar in his hand.
No.
Yeah, he did. It was kind of funny. I'm like, we live there.
Yeah.
But that basketball scene I thought was very fun and very random. And I will say, I don't like. There is a part of like the end of that scene. They'll non praise, and she's like, "Oh, please make this." Like we don't know, but I guess it's just
Yeah.
saying, "Please make him get the shot," because it's part of the deal if he makes the shot.
Yeah.
And then they stop the scene, and then you don't know if he makes a shot or not until
No.
afterwards. And I'm
So
like, "What?"
yeah, but did you get that they did tell us whether he made it or not, basically?
Yeah. So didn't he? They made it.
They made it because it was like if you make it, it wasn't the percentage, and then they showed the
Correct.
percentage.
Correct.
I didn't realize that watching it. So the whole gap thing, please, people, tell me. Like I was confused about it honestly when I watched the first time. The first like two, I don't know why it took me so long. I was a little bit tired watching the movie. Like I'm like, why did it go down to 10%? And then I'm realizing it's just like what percentage of the Phoenician scheme
Uh-huh.
are they going to be paying for? Like that was the whole thing. I didn't understand what the gap was.
There was a lot that happened in this movie.
Yeah, a lot that happened in the
And
movie.
a lot of plots that were there, or lines that were said that really have no correlation with the rest of the film.
Exactly.
But this is just a little part in a large picture in that world.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the shortcomings of it. We don't need to dive into it more. But on a good note, I think one thing we can talk about, and as we expected, the visuals in the movie.
Visuals were fantastic.
Yeah.
Scenes were blocked properly and perfectly, just like every Wes Anderson film. It was very interesting to watch. This is the first movie I've actually seen of his in the movie theater. And I really, really would like to see every other Wes Anderson film in the movie theater. It just looked fantastic up there on the screen.
Yeah.
It really is a piece of artwork in my opinion. I know some people are kind of over his aesthetic and style of the way that he directs in films, but I think that's special to him, and that's what sets him apart from other directors.
Yeah. I didn't do my research in getting the name, but apparently he brought on a new cinematographer who's like the guy or girl. I don't remember who exactly it was. But they still, from what I was seeing, they still kept the Wes Anderson theme
Yes.
Going well. So
it looks
like
exactly like every other Wes Anderson film.
One comment I saw on Letterboxd that I thought kind of was a good description, at least how I felt about it, because we just talked about how we felt about like the story and script versus like the visuals being amazing, is like in a museum where it says please look but don't touch or something, or don't feel. Like that's kind of how this movie made me feel. Like it felt like in a museum. It was beautiful, but by the end of it, I didn't feel much. Maybe you disagree, but like I didn't feel for the characters that much. Maybe the main character, but I don't know. The story just didn't pull me in
That's
too
interesting because
much.
I kind of felt like, oh, this was such a long journey for them, and then to end up where they ended up, I'm kind of like, oh, that's kind of funny because this is not exactly where we thought that they would end up.
Yeah, I can see how you feel that way. Again, it just didn't do it. Just was so much going on, and then kind of it just led to that at the end. Like again, I understand the message behind the story, but it didn't really do it for me. It wasn't bad though, for sure. But visuals, keep doing what you're
Were
doing.
fantastic, and
Beautiful.
I just wanted to add in there. Did you feel like it had like a little bit of a Middle Eastern feel to it with the designs of the characters, what they wore, and like remember Benicio del Toro's character at the end of the movie, he had that little hat on. I don't know what those hats are called, but they're those little cool hats that a lot of guys wear, Middle Eastern
See, but that's the thing. I maybe, but I don't know if you're saying compared to like Middle Eastern, just like films or just
or
like
Middle Eastern
culture.
culture and aesthetics.
I guess I just have to see more like pictures or aesthetic because I'm
Okay.
just not familiar enough with it. But and I believe they. Do you know where they filmed this? I think they said they filmed this in like
There's,
Berlin.
I yeah, I think it was Berlin. It
I
was
was I
not in
was
the
watching. I
U.S.
think I was watching a podcast and Bill Murray said they filmed it in Berlin. Um,
Yeah, let's.
but it
Or
doesn't really matter
yeah,
where they
United
filmed it.
States and Germany.
And yeah, so they filmed it in Germany. But it doesn't matter because they're all built sets. I mean, there wasn't like any like specific places in.
And we'll with sets, I thought the set design was fantastic. All the
Yeah,
sets were built very well. You've everything felt very lived in, but yet clean at the same time. I don't
yeah,
know if you know what I mean by that, but it felt like they've been there forever. Like especially that house, but it was all well maintained in that perfect Wes Anderson kind of style.